All right, here's that 40 hertz burst at 2 ohms mono. Whoa, yeah. Yep, went into protect again. So all right, guys, welcome back for another one. Story time first. Last week, I was shooting the video for the Audio Bank 1600. What is that called? The P1600. And I unboxed that amp on camera last Saturday morning and shot all my videos, put it on Marketplace right away. And within about 3 to 4 hours of when I unboxed it, it was already sold on Marketplace. Met with a guy, sold it. It's crazy to me anytime that I have one that turns around that quickly. But sometimes that happens. Sometimes I have these amps for, weeks, and sometimes they're gone the same day or same weekend, and in that case, just a few hours. But anyhow, I feel like some of y'all might enjoy hearing like where some of these things go, what happens to all these amplifiers. But anyhow, that's what happened to that one. So the amp of the week is the Crunch GP-2000.2. So this is another amp where I was scrolling Amazon and it said that it had sold 100 plus in the last month. Guys, that's a lot of amplifiers. So I thought, man, let's grab it. A lot of people are buying this amp. I haven't done it yet. I've done a monoblock that looks like this. That was a fun little amp to play with. But this is one, they have a lot in this lineup, but I have not done this one. So anyhow, let's get it unboxed. This one don't have any tape on it. This one did come in another box. Speaking of, I got this on Amazon. It was $64.90, but tax made it $69.39. So it did come inside of another box. Okay, doesn't look too big. Let's see here. I think I said this in that other one that I did. That was over a year ago, that monoblock. But the black and red on this looks good. Oh, there's some. Let's get it out. Okay, cool. There's just something about this flat black and gloss red that just looks sharp. I think this is a good looking amp. Okay, anyhow, it's kind of in the middle as far as how much it weighs. It's not like super light, but it's definitely not heavy. Let's look at this end while we're at it. RCA ends, high level end, your gain. They just got it listed there as level. Bass boost, you got 0, 6, and 12, and you got a crossover. Full, high pass, low pass, and then here's where you can adjust that from 40 hertz to 400 hertz. So if you've got it in low pass mode, whatever you set this to, it'll play that frequency and down. Like if you were to put it all the way down on 40, you wouldn't want to do that, but it would play 40 and down. You'd probably want to set this, if you're using subwoofers, probably 80 or 100 hertz and down. Or you could flip it over to high pass and put it on, you could go all the way down as low as 40, and then it would play 40 hertz and up. So on high pass, you're not gonna be able to play below 40 hertz, but you wouldn't need to. That's why they've got it that way. Let's flip it around. Okay, 30 amp fuse. That tells us a little bit, or it should. Got the normal spade terminals, fork terminals, ground, remote, power. I see a light there, one single light that serves as the power and protect. And we have our speaker outs. So let me get this just a little bit closer. Speaker outs. We have a channel 1, channel 2, and then it shows us there how to bridge it. The negative of channel 1 to the positive of channel 2 to bridge it. And then the bottom, the power of music, some stickers, a couple of warranty void stickers. Anyhow, decent looking little amp. Looks like another good starter amp. But let's see what the power does, because depending on what the power output of this thing is, I still don't know yet if I'm gonna give this thing a pass or not. So let's get it hooked up. I will thumb through the manual there. I see some stickers, your high level, and some mounting screws, kind of owner's manual. Okay, let's get it hooked up. All right, guys, I forgot to show y'all the box, because the box is actually the only place where we have some ratings. So check this out over here. We've got English, and then the specs are way down here. So 500 by 2 at 4 ohms, 1000 by 2 at 2 ohms. Guys, we are not gonna see that, not with a 30 amp fuse sticking out of the side of the amp. But that's what the ratings are for this. So this should be this should be one of those amps that you can go to 4 or 2 or higher. You could go to 8 or something like that, but 2 ohms being the lowest at 2 channels. But if you bridge it, 4 ohms is probably the lowest. But that should give you the same output roughly as this 2 ohm rating. So 2000 watts at 1 channel, 4 ohms bridged. But that's a joke. We're not gonna see anywhere near that. There was nothing else on the box that was, you know, useful really. And then the manual, I thumbed through the manual real quick. Here's all those models in the GP. I remember the GP is the ground pounder. That's funny. The ground pounder models. There's several different models there. Here's is that the one we did? The 3500.1D? I feel like it is. I feel like that's the one that I did last time. There was no ratings in here, just how to hook it up, but I thought this was interesting here. The fuse ratings, you see that we've got that 30 amp fuse there, the GP-2000.2. They're showing 4 gauge wire, I guess for all models, which is a bit overkill for some of these smaller models. But you know, the bigger the wire, the better. But the problem is getting 4 gauge in a fork terminal, spade terminal, is not gonna happen, not without some type of adapter. So I'm supplying it with plenty of juice here. I'm running a OFC 8 gauge, only about a foot of it, but that's fed off of 2 zeros. So we are definitely good here on the test bench to use that 8 gauge. But let's turn it on. I have not turned it on yet. I'm gonna turn the light off because if I remember right, this one has some pretty cool red lights up under there. And we've got that one on here too. So let's turn it on. 3, 2, 1. Oh yeah, that's cool. You got the red lights. That would look pretty cool sitting in the back of a car, SUV, truck when it's dark. So anyhow, all right, that was the first turn on. But let's get to the good stuff. Let's put it on resistors and see what kind of output we get out of this thing. All right, so for the sake of keeping today as simple as possible, I'm gonna do all of my tests bridged. We are gonna do 40 and 1K because this is a full range amp. People might actually would put this on either one. This is one of those amps that I could see people using for subwoofers or door speakers, 6x9s, something like that. But the way that we're wired right now is 8 ohms bridged. So this would be the same as being at 4 ohms and 4 ohms if you were using both channels in stereo. So this is the 40 hertz run. Let's see what we get at 40. Oh, speaking of the voltage, we are starting off at 14.8. My power supply is currently on and charging my bank. And so it kind of toggles, but it's in the 14.8 range now. It was 14.5 or 6, I think, when I started. Anyhow, let's get started. Here we go. 40 hertz. What are we going to get? $101. The voltage never dropped below 14.7, and the current draw was 18.1. Let's zero this out, and let's go ahead and go over to the 1K. Here we go, 1 kilohertz. $90, we'll give it that last one, $98. Same on the voltage. I forgot to zero this out. All right, let's do dynamic. All right, 40 hertz dynamic. What are we going to get? Same? Yep. Okay. All right, let's switch over and do that 1K dynamic. Here we go. Little bit more. 111. Okay, wow. So, about 100 watts. So if you had this hooked up in stereo at 4 ohms each, that would be about 50 watts per channel. But let's go to 4 ohms mono. That'd be the same as 2 ohms stereo, and see how much more we can get out of it. All right, 4 ohms mono, 40 hertz. Here we go. What are we gonna get? Oh, shoot. Guys, I forgot to turn the amp on. Here we go, 40 hertz. $135. The voltage did not drop below 14.7, and something's, oh, I forgot to put it in max mode. Gosh, okay. All right, 40 hertz burst at 4 ohms mono. $140. Okay. All right, let's zero this out, and let's go to the 1K. Here we go, 1K burst at 4 ohms mono. 157. All right, so this is one of those amps that does a little bit more power at 1K than it does 40. Should we go to 2 ohms mono? Maybe a burst. 2 ohms mono burst. What do y'all think? All right, 1K, 4 ohms mono. What is she gonna do? Here we go. $137. The voltage didn't drop below 14.7, and the current draw was 26.9. All right, let's do some burst testing at 4 ohms mono. All right, I'm feeling a little bit like a rebel today, so let's do 2 ohms mono. I'm gonna do certified and might even go up to clipping depending on how it's doing. We are at a pretty solid 14.8 at this point, and we are going to capture that current. I do have it in the right mode. Let's turn the amp on. Okay, here we go. 2 ohms mono. This would be the same as if you had this hooked up at 1 ohm here and 1 ohm here. This amp is not rated to do this, but let's do 40 hertz first and see what happens. Uh-oh. We must have blew a fuse, because, or did it go into protect? Where's the protect light? Oh, we're in protect. All right, let's turn the amp off and back on. It came out of protect. That's what I like about these little amps like this. They have good protection circuits in them. All right, I tell you what, give me just a second. Let's try that again at a burst. It might not like that either, but let's try it. All right, here's that 40 hertz burst at 2 ohms mono. Whoa, yeah. Yep, went into protect again. So it is not liking that. I'm really pushing my luck today. But let's see if it come back out. Guys, let's do 1K burst and see how it does. Okay. 184. Wow. And I let it run for the whole 10 seconds. So the 1K burst did not go into protect, and we did get 184 watts. So that's not enough extra wattage to worry about trying to do that to this amp. We already know that it doesn't like it. It's only 30 extra watts or so. So wire this ohm correctly, no lower than 4 ohms mono or 2 ohms stereo, and this thing will probably be pretty happy with you. Okay, so do I want to hook this up to speakers or subwoofers? I'm not real sure about that yet, and I kind of want to take the back plate off of this, so stick around. Let's see, we may do some of that. All right, here's that gut shot. Let's see what we get for $69. There she is. There she is. All right, so guys, there's not a lot here. This doesn't put out a lot of power. I'm going to say pretty much the same thing I did last week for that audio bank. Good starter amp. We're still well below $100 to your door, and it's a good looking amp. There's not a whole lot to worry about as far as if you blow it up, you're not out a lot of money. You don't need any electrical upgrades. You know, it's a 2-channel, so you could even get used to, you know, what it means to bridge something. So I don't know. I wish it did a lot more power. I wish they didn't lie about their power. But notice right there it says version 2.0. That's interesting. I don't know what the first version was like. But anyhow, all right, guys, there's only one thing left to do. All right, I want to write down that. Let's do that 157. That was at 1K. 4 ohms. And that was dynamic. All right, guys, I don't think I mentioned that this amp does not come with a bass knob. Let's talk more about that next week. Speaking of, if you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing. You don't want to miss the things that are coming out here in the near future on the channel. Thank you to all the support. I really appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys next week.